Well, good morning and welcome to another Morning Java brought to you as always by our friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market, where they are not only open for business, including right across the train tracks from the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex, one of the better Get Go outfits, I might add. They also now do curbside delivery. So like you just order on your app and they just bring it out to your phone. Can't beat that. Joined by Ramon Foster out in Tennessee. It feels good to say like staff writer Ramon Foster. It has a good ring to it.
It does, man. And you know what? I'm happy to just add that to my resume of things that I've done that I had not ever did before. So it's pretty cool to be more. More than just an athlete. I like that.
Yeah, but on that note, we're going to go with what you wrote about in the column yesterday, backup quarterbacks, and it's a subject it's amazing. That position, all the discussion, like you would think that it's the only thing that matters, and at the same time, people are ready to discard the actual individual the moment they see something that's bad. The Steelers didn't. And that's what I wanted to ask you about in addition to your column. The Steelers stood by not just Mason Rudolph, but also Duck, but also Paxton Lynch. They said our
Yeah.
quarterback room is our quarterback room. Did that surprise you even a little bit that they did that they stood by them the way they did?
No, it didn't surprise me simply because I know how Kevin Colbert and Coach Tomlin feel about Mason in a sense. With being down last year, I'm speaking
Hmm.
directly of the consequences of last year being not being around. So, and I knew that they had confidence in him to be able to get the job done. The thing about the backup quarterback, or pretty much any backup position, is this: everybody loves the backup. Okay, no matter what, the starter can have one bad play and it's, hey, let's get them out of there. And that's just how it goes. And that's all right too, because people I guess intrigued by the things that they don't know sometimes, or not understanding that transition from college to NFL is a huge leap. And I said it in a lot of different ways. You can kill it in college and get to the NFL, and it takes you a while to get to the point to where you're able to make an NFL throw, or you're able to, really take a snap under center because the ball size is different. There's a lot of different things that go into it, but being around those guys and seeing them in practice, seeing some of the throws that they made, and even early on in camp, even though Duck got cut, there was a lot of hope that, hey, we really hope he doesn't get picked up, because there was some stuff that he did in camp in the games. He was like, he just has that knack about him, and it kind of helped us a lot during the season. And Mason's the other guy. I mean, the way I know that they judged Mason off his combine, off of his college film, off of just the stuff that the intangibles that they had on their board about him, I knew they felt very, very highly of him. So there was no need to go shopping for somebody else.
Yeah, and their ability to stay with it when they believe in something. Ramon, if there's another organization that's better at blocking out the noise, I'm not familiar with it. Because Kevin in particular, like everyone, because you hear more from Mike Tomlin obviously than you do from Kevin, but Kevin, he's that dude who's like he's working the grill in his backyard, and at the same time, like he moonlights as an NFL GM. You know what I mean? Like the most normal guy in the world, unflappable beyond words.
And the thing is too, and I said it in some of the comments I was going back with people, it was like, me writing this is to say that, Ben has done or nothing like that. It's nowhere near that. And I know that for sure that's not how the organization feels too, because Kev is excited about Ben. And he said that before, we get through this and we get Ben back. He always like, well, we get through this, we get Ben back. We get Ben back. And that's his mindset is, we have been, and Coach Tomlin's the same way, and everybody in the building is like, well, we're with Ben, but in that time, great organizations, they find ways to, when Ben is ready to be done, whenever that is, whether it's 4 or 5 years from now, whenever that is, you got to have somebody in place to be able to walk into it, or you go through that transitional phase of the fan base hating everybody in the building. There's so much changing. There's no stability basically, and we've seen teams in the AFC North go through that type of transition, and it's not pretty. I think since he is planning to be able to throw Burrow in there super early, and
Yeah.
even with dealing with, look how many first-round draft picks that Cleveland has had at the quarterback position in recent history. This was in the last 7 years, and it's still not worked out. And that was one of the things I was alluding to with the Johnny Manziel thing is I think Johnny Manziel did have a lot of talent. I think if you put him in a situation to where he had more veterans around him or he had a veteran quarterback in front of him to where he could learn and grow and understand the way the game is played, how you become a pro, how do you stay in this league, I think he could have been a very good quarterback in this league because he had the lower body athletic ability. He had the arm also. And we all know he lit it up.
Well, he had everything. They built a stadium around him. Or just Johnny Football, they added 20,000 seats to the stadium because of him. I mean, you show me where that happens, you know? I don't think anybody could question what his ability was. Maybe it wasn't a perfect NFL match, maybe more of a college thing, but the ability was absolutely there. It just wasn't.
I know, and think about this. You put him behind a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Ben or somebody that's or Russell Wilson. Like that's the same type of quarterback. So I think situationally, teams like Mason said, when you're a high draft pick, you're expected to go in. But the thing is how long is that leash on you to be able to develop? Which is what he alluded to. Is the confidence of your organization is what gets you to be able to stay around and to become the player that you want to be. I mean, look at I think what Deshaun Watson is doing in Houston. It's the same. They're giving him time. Like he's not perfect with everything that he's doing, but at the same time, he's making plays. He's winning them games. I even go further with the kid in Buffalo. It's the same thing. He has a growth period now to where you're starting to see the organization and it's like, okay, we'll get behind you. You'll figure this thing out. And if you are who we think you are, then we're all going to be good because of that.
Man, I really like him too. I really like Josh Allen a lot.
Allen,
yeah, his ability, his moxie, him running through the middle of the line for first downs and everything. And in Buffalo, it's a different situation because it's more like the defense is buying him time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? like if the kid just be good enough, we'll get you some W's.
But and then I think another one that pops off the top of my, I think the Jets are trying to get behind Darnold, but the expectations in New York is out of this world.
It's irrational. It's irrational. and also too, I mean, they didn't surround. I mean, giving him Lev was nice, but it doesn't matter if they're not moving anything up front. And I'm not saying that because I'm talking to an offensive lineman. It's just the truth, you know.
It is, and that's what I meant in the article too by saying, when you're a young guy with a young quarterback and he's trying to develop, and you are too. That sucks when a quarterback lost his rep because you gave up a practice sack or pressure up front and he got to step back and throw over you. Like it's collectively a group thing. And I think you can say too, with just the overall development of guys, it's about 3-4 years before they start to kick in. And that's what I mean by that. Don't rush. Or if you got a young guy that's playing, I mean, I know it's going to be a rough patch, but give them time. And if they're pros enough and the management surround them with the right guys, like you said, it could turn into something good. And we've seen teams win with serviceable quarterbacks too. So, hey.
So I'm always keeping an especially close eye on my email inbox from any particular email that might come from a certain Bert Loughton over on South Water Street. And I get one on Tuesday morning that says that the Steelers tickets are going on sale. And I'm thinking, this is the most NFL thing ever this offseason, isn't it? Where it starts from and I know you have had your own literal and philosophical differences with Roger Goodell, but it has to start with him. Where the NFL has just come up with this mindset, all guns blazing, everything forward. We're going to just find a way to get through this more than any other league. Am I wrong about this?
I think you're right. But you know what, though? The reason I think it's like that, and I've always kind of said this too, in America at least, with the sporting world, football is literally a season for people. I know basketball season happens and everybody's, the basketball fans are ready to go. But football, everything stops. It's like, okay, we've made it to this point. This is my team's year. And I think it's solely because it's one game a week, maybe two if you get a Sunday and a Thursday. but you really take time to watch your teams. And there's a whole lot of pride across the world, but with that, and you bring that in with the fact that the league has grown, the athlete has been tremendously like different from anything we've ever seen in this league. Guys are making plays and doing stuff. Linemen are running like 4.6 at like 320 pounds. Like that's something to be in awe about. But I know for sure the growth of this league is huge for, NFL office in New York, and just overall for the league. It's one of the things that they're focused on doing. And football is something that is needed, I guess, until it's not. And people enjoy it. Everything stops for football season.
Yeah, and I think the NFL, I've referred to it now for 10 or 15 years in my writings, is the national pastime. And I know that I do that on purpose because it bugs the baseball people. But it is. The numbers do not lie. Yes,
No.
there are fewer games, so you're going to have more eyeballs tuned in on a Sunday, as opposed to baseball, where you figure I'm just going to pick and choose which game I watch because there's 7 of them this week. It doesn't matter. The numbers are not even in the same stratosphere anymore. It's all about football. But what I like about this is that, and that understanding, with all the obligatory, you got to do everything safely, and all the other asterisks, the NFL has still, with the draft, with the announcement of the schedule, right when it was supposed to come out. Yeah. Now there are tickets on sale. We'll refund you, but here they are.
There they are.
If you want them, come and get them, because we're at least allowing for the possibility that there will be fans at these games, or some fans, or something like that. And it just feels like that, between that and the fact that you haven't heard really from the Players Association a peep of complaint, and you're hearing it like it's like crazy from baseball right now, and also some of the other sports, meetings in the NBA, some NHL guys are concerned. But in football, it's just like, let's just play.
Yeah.
And I honestly think, Ramon, that this is part of the reason that why America has just gone football crazy. It feels like football is America. You know what I mean?
It does. And on top of that, I think we get a little bit more of a timeline or downtime to be able to assess what's going to happen or what's moving forward.
Yes,
that's
fair.
With this COVID-19 stuff, they're talking about there's possible vaccines and stuff like that in California. And it's just, we're not sure where it's going to go. But I think the NFL is just like anybody else. And it might be me, but I honestly think the NFL has a lot of insight into what's going on because it is so powerful. I'm not saying that they're decision makers. No, I don't think anybody in the NFL is that. But there's a lot of money that's worked around the NFL season. So if somebody can get a little trinket of information from somebody, say, hey, we're gonna have this under control by September, I think that's why they're pushing it right there. And if not, my brother, who's a basketball player, is like, the NFL is always America's guinea pig. From social issues to player safety to player pay, it's a bunch of that. So we're always looked at as brutes, we're always the crazy ones that move forward with stuff simply because that's just how our game is.
Your point about the money that's behind it, though, and their ability to know something because of the power, it reminds me that, like, in the past week, Major League Baseball let everyone know that they have a dedicated lab somewhere in, like, Colorado for their testing, for the regular drug testing, PED, and they're converting the entire lab into COVID testing because they already have it as their resource. And I thought that's pretty smart. And then right after I think, the NFL probably did that like a month ago.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%, man. And you know what? But to me, a guy who's worked in that environment of, been in the locker room and all the germs and stuff like that, I truly do think that, I do think Pittsburgh's done a really good job at it. But when you remember when they had the staph infections at other places and stuff like that, and they really changed their policies. There was like poster boards all across the locker room: clean this, don't use this. Mm-hmm. The cleanliness of our locker room amped up, and I think now it really will be a whole lot more now. Considering everything that's going on with this pandemic. But We are the guinea pigs for sure in the NFL, but at the same time, you take football away, which I'm not saying if it's not important enough to take it away, but it's gonna throw people for a loop.
No,
Like
no,
you
no.
said, with baseball and basketball, you get 4 or 5 games a week, and you can just pass on 1 or 2. But if you miss that one a week with football, I'm all for safety, but it's going to be some people that just lose their top over
There will be football.
that.
So the other day on Instagram, you put up a story of your writing setup, and it was like, and it had the little cup of tea and the Tennessee Starbucks mug here, trying to show me up. By the way, here I got the whole wall
you
on your.
you were my inspiration to be like, you're not the only one.
So you're working on this thing, and I'm not gonna lie, I saw one paragraph up there on your screen, and I'm trying to get like, what's that say? What's he got for us this week? What's been your every writer, regardless of experience level, regardless of background, has a different approach. There's no such thing as a uniform approach. What's been yours? How have you been thinking about these things?
Mine is, mine has been get my ideas down first on a piece of paper. I got my paper over here right now for my next one. Is get that down, and then during the week, I'll have thoughts in my mind about what I want to think about, or I watch something on TV, be like, oh, I got to think about that, or I'll text somebody that I might need a quote from, be like, man, this will be pretty cool. And whenever I get to that point of about 3 days before I gotta have it in, that's when I start to write. And I might start off with a paragraph and go from there and elaborate on it. I look at my other bullets and points and be like, well, I could write about this, but maybe not that, because I brought up a situation you last week about the Landry deal, and he got his chance as a backup, and I think he rolled his ankle or something like that. And I was like, no, that's a little bit too past time. So let me talk about Mason. And Mason, I have a really good relationship, and I reached out to him. And once I got my quote from him, and I sat down, wrote some more, it just kind of comes together. And the thing about me writing this stuff is I kind of lived it a little bit too. And I've always
a little bit,
but I've always been the person that if you have a conversation, I want to give you at least some understanding, whether a guy's having a bad week, a month, a year, a game, and I'm always understanding about why that happens.
Why?
I've been mad at some teams before, be like, man, how did that happen? But at the same time, I look at a play, 5 plays, and I might have missed the block, or I could have blocked somebody better. So I always try to find a centralized, feel for myself as far as saying, okay, well, this is why that could happen. And my thing with this is I feel like I want to be able to talk to the audience and give them understanding on why or how this might happen. And yeah, you don't have to agree with me. And I'll say that anytime. You don't have to agree with me, but I've seen this happen. And I could be wrong on some stuff. But if my perspective can give you a little bit better understanding, that's the way I write it out more than anything. I write for understanding.
Yeah, it makes it from, as long as it makes it, like I told you before, makes it from here down to here. Eliminate all the middlemen in the equation, You remind me, though, since you mentioned Landry, because we talked about him, like you said, on the phone. It didn't make it into your column, but let's give people some bonus material, because Landry Jones makes for a perfect example of this. Yeah. Landry works with the offense for years.
Yep.
And then he gets out onto the field in that game, which people forget was an important game. Just because Ben sat, it was that season finale against Cleveland, but not just because it was Cleveland, but because there was a position in the standings. There was something I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was something.
Did we get the buy? That was the the year we won the shirts that said Pittsburgh run the North or something like that.
Yeah, you needed to win the game. This wasn't a cute thing. Let's throw our backup out there or whatever. So this wasn't like, for example, what Baltimore had in week whatever when they went out there and they sat Lamar.
Yes,
in their finale, where they had absolutely nothing to play for. That wasn't this. So Landry goes out there, and he throws. I want to say off the top of my head, it was 23 of 27, like the most like Joe Montana, right? And yet, not one of these plays was some breathtaking whatever. It was just like you said. He trusted the people in front of him. He trusted the routes and the execution. He hit them, and he went down the field into the next huddle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all because of that stability that you referred to as Mason Rudolph showing in the Jets game, the pass to Deontay Johnson, where his feet are so set. He's so calm, and he just makes an NFL grade pass.
Yes.
That Landry Jones progression. Again, I know it didn't make it into the column, but it meant a lot to you, didn't it?
It did mean a lot to me, and it was he had another chance after that, and like you said, Ben was sitting, and Landry ended up getting hurt. And that's what I mean by that window can really close on you whenever you get your shot, and that's the game when Ben came in and had the most passing yards for a backup or non-starter that game. Remember that one?
Yes, I do.
But what happened on that was, and I always talk about the opportunities of the backup or a young guy, was Landry drops back and he basically sprains his ankle on Gill's ankle, Marcus Gilbert's ankle, and Landry had to come out of the game. And that part of his career, I think, was it kind of went down.
Yeah.
Because of something not controlled by, it just happens. Feet, ankles, knees get tangled up all the time. Yeah. And he was a victim of, well, I guess it's time to move into a different direction for no other reason other than he sprained his ankle when, like you said before, he could have went out and blazed or at least carved out a backup career to where I was shocked when he got cut and the following year and didn't make it on an NFL team. Well, probably because he didn't have a whole lot of film also, and that would have probably solidified him to be a backup making it. I think they make now $5 to $7 million a year. But their window of opportunity when you have a franchise guy like Ben is very small. And if you have a guy that you think is really good, you stick with him and let him grow, like how I think they want to do with Mason. And who's to say? Ben might play for another 5, and Mason might get a starting position at another place somewhere, Yeah. So, but it's just the way the process of trying to keep your organization afloat when you pass the torch to somebody else. And I think that can't be minimized with how they're going to look earlier in their young years, Ben was a godsend, I think, to the whole city of Pittsburgh, to myself, the fans, the writers, the organization, and the Roonies, And I meant what I said by, like, the quarterback at any position other than, like, Little League ball is the most important position.
Yeah, but he's not the boss there. Let's make that really, really clear. No. There's a difference. Okay.
There's a difference, 100%. But when you have a guy, that guy he carries everybody with him, and that's one. Look at the way Baltimore has they're on the Lamar wagon.
Yeah.
Look
the
at
whole
Brady.
Offense, even their method of drafting. Yeah. I mean, everything is now Lamar centric.
Is there? He's pulling the wagon as a young guy, and then, like I said, look at the way Brady switched up Tampa. They go from not making the playoffs with Jameis to now. I saw a poll. They're like high Super Bowl contenders.
They're not even the best team in their division, Moan. I'm sorry, they're not. Don't tell me they're as good as the Saints. I'm sorry.
No, for me, and the Saints got offense and defense, okay, and that Taysom Hill kid is out of this world. And Drew Brees, I'm just not mentioning him. Like, get you a quarterback, guys, and you stick. Which is why they also paid. What did they pay Taysom this offseason? Was it 16 a year?
They paid him a lot. Yeah.
Because.
Mm-hmm.
With Sean, he thinks he has his next guy, so we got to pacify him until we can.
Yeah, that's the whole Green Bay plan. We'll see how pacifist that approach ends up going. Hey, it worked before, right? The same guy can't complain later, can he?
I don't know, but he is pissed when you move up like that, though.
Yeah, I know.
At least I assume he's pissed.
No, there was extra urgency to that pick, right? It wasn't just this guy just fell to us. No. We want this guy. Very, very different vibe.
That's gonna be so interesting.
Yeah, it really will. Thanks, Moan.
Thank you.
Yes.